Raquel, you are here. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you, Annette? Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy you are here. I know that every single person out there in the audience is going to learn something from you. Hiring is a topic just that everybody's talking about. Hiring. So I'm really glad you're here. Raquel Wilson is here from Peachtree VA, based out of Atlanta. She joined us on the podcast, episode 62. That was in February. I'm just going to turn my Do Not Disturb on here. Do you believe that? That was back in February.
I feel like time is still very much abstract with the ongoing pandemic and the kids home for the summer. So yes, February was like 3 years ago, but yesterday.
I know. That's it. Doesn't that seem like the theme? It's like, okay, it's like stuff's moving so quickly, but then it's like a fog still, like, right?
Absolutely.
So we are live right now on Facebook in the iEvolve Facebook group and the iEvolve Facebook page, and then also on YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you are out there, drop us some comments, drop us some questions. We'd love to hear from you, and we're happy that you all are here. So tell us the update. Tell us, of course, a little bit about the company for those that may not know, and catch us up to speed. What does life look like at Peachtree since February in our last conversation?
Great. Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be speaking to your audience. And you are right that hiring is hard. I start every discovery call basically with that catchphrase. So Peachtree VA, for those of you who maybe didn't hear the podcast episode, we are a staffing company, a virtual staffing company based in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm the founder and CEO, and we primarily specialize in staffing small businesses with virtual assistant support. So fractional, executive, general admin support. And we also, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in regards to the updates, have started to transition into also providing direct hire staffing support, because more comms to come on that for you. But just getting back to how we started, like, hiring is hard, and we've spent the last 6+ years really refining our process and building relationships and kind of figuring out what works when you're trying to approach staffing from a unique angle of being a small business owner. So that's a little bit about who Peachtree VA is.
Good. Okay. So tell us the latest and greatest. I think you kind of did a little teaser there.
For sure. So our corporate team has grown by 50% since February, and that includes some new roles that we launched, which I'm super excited about, primarily in our talent acquisition department, but also our client relationship management department. So I'm really thrilled about that. And one byproduct of that growth is that I myself, as an entrepreneur, have claimed a ton of my time back, because I have thoughtfully, and intentionally brought people onto the team to fill specific roles in a very high-paced, high-demand industry. And so I am thrilled that is one of my wins, since February. Because anybody who's listening that runs a business, I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a full-time job. And I've just been very fortunate to get great mentoring, great coaching, and just have found some awesome people to help support the corporate side of the business. So I now have more time to spend on vision, planning, strategy, and development. And that's where this new service vertical came from. Actually, through conversations with coaches and really thinking about how can we continue to expand our offerings without necessarily, pivoting in a way that doesn't feel organic or doesn't feel like what the market needs, and really what everybody needs support with, especially during this kind of, I hate to say post-pandemic time, because we're not there yet, but on the heels of what we've all just been going through, is hiring support. So this year I've had several phone calls from people in all different areas of my life, going from way back to my former profession as a social worker to, clients that we've diligently built relationships with. Basically them saying, where do you find your team? How do you guys do this? I need help, but I don't necessarily need a virtual assistant. I need a intake coordinator. I need a W-2 executive admin, maybe in person. And so I'm really excited that I've been able to, you know, grow the team to support the growth of Peachtree VA, but also to support the growth of this new service vertical. And by bringing them on, freed up my own time to kind of vision setting. Yeah.
Huge wins. Huge wins. That's great. So is the new vertical going to be go under the Peachtree VA, or are you?
Oh, it is for now. Yeah. So it is for now. We're not going to go into the new branding. We've obviously, we have a lot of name recognition, and we have a lot in our reputation as Peachtree VA. And it really is just an organic pivot for, not even really a pivot. It's just like an organic kind of layer of what we're already doing.
Right.
But what we started to hear is people needing different types of support personnel to grow their business. Maybe it's a legal assistant or a paralegal. Intake coordinator is a big one, because certain industries are just getting inundated with requests and calls and appointments, whether it be healthcare or law, you know, things like that. And so I'm really excited to be able to, you know, branch out into some more direct hire support, while also very much still focused on the fractional support of virtual assistants.
All right, exactly. Yeah. And even, you know, to complement or kind of the intake, also the customer service, like client relations piece of that has been big. I know a lot of my insurance clients have been like, they just need that desperately, that person, so that the owner and CEO is out of the weeds, especially if they are an operating income producing segment, like a lot of the service-based provider entrepreneurs are out there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, good. So let's talk about next industry trends that you're seeing from your standpoint. Anything out there that you want to share? Any kind of common themes or?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about this question and I was kind of laughing, because I think our whole industry is a trend, right? Yes. Courtesy of the pandemic, you know, it really started to shine a light on, you know, the virtual assistant industry in general, and virtual staffing, you know, virtual support, really. And so I think that what we're going to see is that remote work now is going to stay mainstream. It's going to stay for industries that, you know, can do it. It's going to stay as the leading way that we work. And so I think that, you know, I always use the example that some industries prior to the pandemic were always a harder sale for me. You know, and so law is a very kind of traditional industry. Most law firms have a brick and mortar location. Right. And so when I would talk to lawyers who needed administrative support, it was really hard for them to visualize the virtual aspect of administrative support, because they were used to seeing a physical body sitting at a physical desk greeting physical clients. So the pandemic just shifted that, you know, overnight for every industry. And so a lot of more traditional brick and mortar service-based industries had to figure out how to serve their clients virtually, how to run their business virtually. And so that solved, I think, a lot of the, you know, barriers in education and understanding how it works, so to speak. And so, so yeah, I think the trend is just that more and more people are going to be on board with working remotely, serving their clients remotely, and leveraging virtual support.
Right. Well, and the clients are okay with it being remote, right? They get it too. They understand it too, and they're okay. And it's, you know, even if it's like estate planning or any kind of legal services, you're okay or more comfortable doing it over a Zoom call if you're able to, in some cases, to that point. So great. Okay, so what opportunities are ahead?
So many opportunities are ahead.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
I was looking on my calendar. Yeah, it's just, it's an awesome season. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, you know, the bottom fell out in a lot of our lives, right? Childcare disappeared, you know, health scares, you know, taking care of aging parents, like whatever it is for you specifically. And it was nerve-wracking even for companies like Peachtree VA that were already set up to be successful virtually. You know, I'm very grateful that I didn't have to pivot the team. I didn't have to pivot how we were serving clients. And so our tactic, you know, and I might have touched on this in the podcast, was just, let's meet each other with compassion, empathy, and flexibility. And we're going to get through this together. Right. And at the end of last year, our client retention rate was 96.44%.
Wow.
And that honestly didn't really even ring my bell when I saw the final numbers, because that's a normal year for us. It's something that we very much value and work hard to maintain our clients. But I think in a season where people were shedding expenses left and right because revenue was coming down, all these things, right? We were able to, hold on to those clients and support them in flexible and compassionate ways. And they in turn supported their virtual assistants in our corporate team in flexible and compassionate ways. And so I really think the opportunity for growth in our industry is astronomical. One, because of how we're positioned and what I was just talking about with remote work and virtual support being mainstream. But two, because we have shown up for our clients, and they saw that and they felt that, and that's what they're telling, their network. So I think it's a unique opportunity for the industry, and certainly I feel so fortunate that we're at the front end of it.
So a question on that, I guess on the opportunities out there, as people are looking for talent, if they aren't using a great company like yours to find that, what kind of advice do you have out there? I mean, are you finding good talent simply because of the network that you have? Or are you finding that challenging?
Yeah, it's challenging. I think that's one of the challenges, that we definitely are facing. I think that for the staff the talent that we are generally targeting, we're just now seeing towards the end of summer an uptick in applicants, an uptick in people who say, I can visualize my capacity shifting this fall. As the pandemic starts to subside more, as traveling starts to pick up, as kids go back to school, whatever it is for that particular person. And then I also think that we're seeing our clients start to feel that same thing. And so they're starting to think, like, to exhale a little bit, saying, okay, I'm going to have more capacity to really strategize what Q3 and Q4 looks like and really think ahead in 2022. So yeah, I mean, I think that staffing is challenging. Like we started this conversation, right? Hiring is hard. So my advice would be for people to take their time. Time and time again, we see people making hiring decisions based on, maybe what's easy, maybe who's available, maybe who or someone on your staff that maybe can branch over but doesn't necessarily have the right skill set or personality fit for the job. So don't try to squeeze a square peg into a round hole. Like, take some time to think about who you need. Take some time to write a proper job description, and do a proper hiring campaign. Think about, would a skills assessment be helpful? Who in the organization should be talking to this person? I always say that jokingly, like, someone in my organization told me a long time ago, you need to hire a talent acquisition specialist because you're not good at the round one interviews. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, you're passionate. You're the CEO. You want to talk about the vision. You want to get lost in like the strategy and the excitement and the culture, that you're overlooking asking the practical questions of the person who's going to fill this role. So, take time, be honest with yourself and your ability, bring people into the process if you need that support, and you'll likely find a great candidate.
It's great. It's great. Okay. Time to reverse the roles here. What questions do you have for me, Raquel?
Well, I think that we talked a little bit about this on the podcast, that you yourself are a client of Peachtree VA. And so you have had the experience of leveraging a virtual assistant. And I think the thing that makes you most unique is that you leverage for both a service-based business and a commodities-based business, right? So I am curious to know, kind of, do you feel like your experience in partnering with two different VAs for two different businesses who do two totally different things have parallels? Or do you feel like the experience has been, the type of support or the benefits of the support have been different because the industries and the businesses are so different? That's
such a good question. Oh, I love it. Okay. So yes, I hired through Peachtree VA for iEvolve Consulting. My executive assistant is through Peachtree. And then when Danielle went out on maternity leave, she'll be back in 2 weeks, we hired an interim account executive, client relations specialist for Danielle to supplement while she was out for Timber Industries. So, and both are rock stars. Like, I love them both. I think We're talking like Chattanooga and Memphis or somewhere down in the Southeast, but just, they are so delightful and they're so amazing. They've been such a great part of our team. But I think it honestly comes down to systems.
Yeah.
Because for, timber, we use Salesforce and really in depth in Salesforce. Mm-hmm. So that was a really big thing to make sure they knew Salesforce and QuickBooks. And of course, had the ability to be really responsive in a timely fashion. And then with iEvolve, our systems aren't as sophisticated. We use a CRM and QuickBooks, but it was really just different skill set. But I needed help setting and establishing the actual process. Mm-hmm. So everything that we're building at iEvolve has turned into a set process for that framework for other entrepreneurs to kind of start to really duplicate. Mm-hmm. So it's like the same but different, but both of them have the go-getter, the personalities of being a team player, of wanting just to do anything, to say yes to anything, and to help with anything. So I think that the personalities are the same, but the skill sets are different simply because of the software and the behind the scenes framework of where Timber was and where iEvolve is growing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the value of like having a matching process, right? Mm-hmm. So back to your question of, when people are hiring independently, and sometimes that is my suggestion. Sometimes my suggestion is, look, we can help you, but you may need to hire outside of Peachtree VA, or maybe the budget isn't there yet for Peachtree VA or whatnot. And so I always love to give suggestions and recommendations and not just say,
right. Exactly. I think it's not the difference of a service-based business versus a commodity-based business. It's how I am as an owner in each business.
Yeah, I love
that. In Timber Industries, I'm an actual business owner. I'm referencing the book Rich Dad Poor Dad here. Mm-hmm. So I am, I have a team that's already set up with the process and the company, and we work together. I have the upward communication, all of our KPIs, all of our dashboards. I have the strategic vision and the final thumbprint on everything, mm-hmm. but not necessarily in the day-to-days and the day-to-day leads. Yeah. Whereas iEvolve, it's a service-based business. It's me mm-hmm. really still in the weeds and doing the one-on-one service-based, providing the service.
Right.
So I think that's where the difference is. It's not service versus commodity mm-hmm.
or
product. It's mm-hmm. really how I am as an owner, operator, in both businesses, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And then I've gotten the question from Peachtree before, well, can we just use her to do both? And I'm like, no, keep them separate. No, separate, please. No.
So that's the value, right? And either like a company like ours, like walking you through that discovery process, or you walking yourself through and like being honest and asking those questions and answering those questions. And I think that's what really leads to a good hire, right? It's not just because sometimes we do get inquiries where someone says, it doesn't matter who you outfit me with, as long as they have this industry experience or this platform experience. And I always say, but it does matter. So we want to take into account industry and platform experience, but oftentimes, especially if that business owner has had a failed hiring experience before, that's not the whole picture. And so you really have to look at all of the main criteria. We always say that we match clients and virtual assistants. We approach our staffing based on skill set, personality, culture fit, and capacity. Capacity is really important, especially if you're contracting with fractional virtual support, not full-time, not even part-time, and so like robust 20-hour-a-week part-time. Mm-hmm. And so those things are really important. And so I'm glad we were able to, to understand you as a business owner and your two separate businesses through that. And that led us to some successful matches.
Oh, it's been great. And I thought I was throwing you a curveball with, the pallet industry and wood and the construction industry and everything we have going on at Timber, but you guys were like, nope, we've got it. And man, if she didn't have experience, and she's just great. Like it's insane how great the fit has been. So
awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Awesome.
Yes. Well, good. Well, I'm always like, I love our conversations all the time, and I'm so proud of your growth and where the company is going. I think it's such a smart move for Peachtree to go into the permanent and permanent, I guess, placement is what you're calling it, right?
Direct hire.
Which is great. And I can't wait to pick your brain more on that, because I know I have a lot of things in my mind going, as you know me.
I do.
But thanks for being here. Thank you so much. I'll drop the podcast from February, episode 62, if anybody out there wants to listen to it. Peachtreeva.com is where you can find Raquel. And honestly, what you do best is it's always just worth that initial conversation. Absolutely. Because what you do well is you're like, you're really not there yet, or this might be a good fit. Let's explore this. Or I don't have anything right now, but it sounds like I could point you here. And you really do a great initial consult. Your process is impeccable of how you walk business owners and CEOs through that. So keep it going. Keep it going.
That's what I plan to do.
All right. Keep evolving. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for being here, Raquel. We will see you soon. Bye.